दोस्तों किसी भी कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्ज़ाम्स में जो हिंदू एनालिसिस है वो बहुत ही इम्पॉर्टेंट है जीके सेक्शन को कवर करने के लिए। तो इसी के लिए हमारा जो शंकर IAS अकेडमी है उनके साथ जॉइंट वेंचर है, जिस पे आज से हम एनालिसिस अपनी वीडियोस ये अपने यूट्यूब चैनल में दिखाने वाले हैं। तो वीडियोस अच्छी लगेंगी तो कमेंट कर ज़रूर बताएं। तो चलिए वीडियो शुरू करते हैं एनालिसिस।
This news article is regarding Supreme Court Collegium system. See, in the past 1 month, Collegium system has been constantly in the news. This is because the system has made lot of recommendations. For example, it made recommendations regarding appointment of 8 new Chief Justices of High Courts. It also recommended transfer of 5 High Court Chief Justices. In addition to that, the system also recommended shuffling of 28 High Court judges. So in the last 1 month, the Collegium system has recommended over 100 judicial appointments and several transfers. This is why this topic is very important. It is constantly in the news. And it is also overlap of static portion as well as current affairs portion. So it has a high chance of being asked. Very, very important topic. So please pay attention. So based on this context, let us discuss about Collegium system. See, we all know that India follows Collegium system. The system is used to appoint the judges of higher judiciary. Now let us come to the most important point, the origin of Collegium system. See, this system was not enacted by an act of parliament. The first important point. It was also not enacted through a provision of the constitution. Not enacted by act of parliament, not enacted through a provision of constitution. Then how did this system emerge? See, the system evolved through the judgments of the Supreme Court. These judgments are called as judges' case, and based on this judges' case, the system has emerged. I hope aspirants can follow. This point is very important because in prelims you can expect these kind of statements. Supreme Court Collegium system was enacted by an act of parliament. Which of the above statements are correct? So these kind of statements can be expected in prelims. So remember, Collegium system emerged and evolved only through the judgments of Supreme Court cases. These cases are called as judges' case. Now moving on to the next important point. See, in India we have 2 types of collegiums. One is Supreme Court Collegium and other is High Court Collegium. First let us see about Supreme Court Collegium. See, Supreme Court Collegium is headed by Chief Justice of India. In addition to the Chief Justice, Supreme Court Collegium comprises of 4 other senior most judges of the Supreme Court. Chief Justice of India, 4 other senior most judges of the Supreme Court. This is the composition of Supreme Court Collegium. Now moving on to High Court Collegium. See, High Court Collegium is led by the Chief Justice of the High Court. The first important point. In addition to the Chief Justice of the High Court Collegium consists of 4 other senior most judges of the particular High Court. I hope aspirants can follow. Chief Justice of High Court, 4 other senior most judges of that particular High Court. So this is the main difference between the Supreme Court Collegium and High Court Collegium. The composition is different. See, remember one thing. The recommendation of High Court Collegium reaches the government only after getting approved by the Chief Justice of India and Supreme Court Collegium. This point is very important. For example, take Chennai High Court. Chennai High Court will have a collegium system. It will have the Chief Justice of Chennai High Court and 4 other senior judges of that Chennai High Court. This will be the collegium system of Chennai High Court. They will make the decision and they will recommend it to the government. But before going to the government, it will go to the Chief Justice of India and the Supreme Court Collegium. They should give their approval, then only it can go to the government. See, when we are learning about collegium system, we should also know about NJAC. What is NJAC? NJAC stands for National Judicial Appointments Commission. See, NJAC is a constitutional body. This body was proposed to replace the present collegium system of appointing judges. The most important point. And it was established through the 99th Amendment Act in 2014. 99. Remember this number. See, after amending the constitution, the parliament also passed a law called National Judicial Appointments Commission Act 2014. This act was passed to regulate the NJAC's functions. According to this act, NJAC will consist of 6 people. Who are those 6 people? Chief Justice of India. The Chief Justice of India will be the chairperson of NJAC. In addition to the Chief Justice of India, there will be 2 more senior judges of the Supreme Court, Law Minister and 2 eminent persons. So this will be the composition of NJAC. But remember, this body is not in practice. We have only the collegium system. NJAC is not right now in practice. This is because Supreme Court of India declared 99th Constitutional Amendment and NJAC Act to be unconstitutional and void. We all know that independence of judiciary is a basic structure of Indian Constitution, and Supreme Court believed that 99th Constitutional Amendment and NJAC Act affects the independence of judiciary. So it declared NJAC Act and 99th Constitutional Amendment as unconstitutional and void. So right now we do not have NJAC, we are only following collegium system. So these are the important points regarding collegium system. Very, very important topic from prelims as well as mains perspective. And remember, this year the collegium system has been constantly in the news. It is being super active, so it may get the attention of the examiner. Make sure you revise this topic 5 or 6 times before the exam. So with this we have come to the end of the discussion. Now moving on to the next topic. Now take a look at this editorial. See, in yesterday's discussion we saw about NCLAT. NCLAT stands for National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. In yesterday's discussion we discussed about this body. We discussed about NCLAT structure, NCLAT function and NCLAT appointments. But in today's discussion we'll discuss about the issues surrounding NCLAT. We will discuss the problem surrounding the NCLAT. This is the main content in this editorial. Very, very important topic from mains perspective. So let us discuss the important points highlighted in this editorial. The syllabus relevant to this discussion is displayed on the screen. Interested aspirants can go through it. See, India has many tribunals. We all know this. But we should also know that most of these tribunals have many vacancies. Our central government is delaying the appointment of judges to these tribunals. It is hesitating. So because of these vacancies, the tribunals are not functioning to their full capacity. They are struggling. So finally, our Supreme Court of India interfered. The court finally intervened and asked the central government to fill the vacancies in these tribunals. So following the Supreme Court order, our central government finally made some appointments to the NCLAT and ITAT tribunals. As I already said, NCLAT stands for National Company Law Appellate Tribunal and ITAT stands for Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. I hope aspirants can follow. Now coming to the issue. See, the issue is surrounding the appointments made to this tribunal. Let me explain this issue. See, the appointment to these tribunals are made by a committee called Search Cum Selection Committee. This Search Cum Selection Committee shortlist the eligible candidates who can be appointed to these tribunals. They provide a list. This list is sent to the government and it is approved by the Appointments Committee of the Cabinet. This is the process. Let me repeat. The Search Cum Selection Committee, it creates a list of eligible candidates and this list is sent to the Appointments Committee of the Cabinet. The Appointments Committee of the Cabinet approves this list and finally the appointments are made. This is the process. This is where the issue starts. See, the Supreme Court of India has detected some procedure irregularities in the appointment of the judges to the tribunals. Our court has found issues in the appointment process. It has detected some procedural irregularities. Now let us discuss what is that procedural irregularity. See, as I already said, Search Cum Selection Committee, it shortlists the eligible list of candidates and it prepares a list. This list given by the Search Cum Select Committee has 2 parts. What are those 2 parts? The first part is a list which contains the priority names. This list has the priority names and the most suitable candidates for the appointment. This is the first part. Now moving on to the second part. The second part has waitlisted candidates. So these are the 2 parts given by the Search Cum Select Committee. The priority list and waitlisted candidate list. So this list will be sent to the central government and the central government will make the appointments. See, the central government, while making the appointments, it has to take the names from the first list, that is the priority list. Only after exhausting the first list, it should go for the waitlisted candidates. Without exhausting all the names in the first list, the center should not go for the waitlisted candidates. This is the protocol. But recently, this protocol has not been followed. This is the main irregularity found by our Supreme Court of India. Without exhausting the first list, our central government has made appointment from the waitlisted category. So instead of giving priority to the first list, that is the most eligible candidate, it has directly gone for the waitlisted candidates. This is called as cherry picking of names. This is the first issue found by Supreme Court of India. Cherry picking of candidate names. Now moving on to the next issue. What is the next issue found by the Supreme Court of India? See, the central government, while appointing new judges for tribunals, sent the incumbents who still had tenure on leave. This is the second major issue. Let me explain. See, take a tribunal X, okay? This tribunal X will have a chairman. This chairman will have a tenure. Only after the expiry of that tenure, the new chairman should be appointed. But Centre has bypassed this. The central government has directly appointed the new names and asked the incumbents, that is the existing chairman, to go on leave. This was done by a central government to accommodate the new names of their choice. The central government wants its people in the tribunals. So it has asked the incumbents to go on leave and it has appointed new members. For example, take NCLAT. As I already said, NCLAT stands for National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. In this tribunal, Justice Cheema was the acting chairman. His tenure was expiring on September 20th. But even before the expiry of his tenure, central government appointed Justice Venugopal to the post of chairman of NCLAT. The central government forced Justice Cheema to go on leave even before his expiry of tenure. I hope aspirants can follow. So finally, Justice Cheema approached Supreme Court of India. Supreme Court of India found merit in Justice Cheema's argument and has reinstated him until the expiry of his term. So Supreme Court of India finally intervened and has put a stop to this irregularity. The central government cannot force the incumbents to go on leave just because it wants to appoint the people it favors. See, according to Supreme Court of India, there are pending verdicts from Justice Cheema. So changing the judge in this crucial juncture can create problems. These pending verdicts will be affected. The new Justice Venugopal should start these cases from first. So it will cause a delay. This is the logic behind Supreme Court of India. So finally it reinstated Cheema. And it has asked the central government to stop these procedural irregularities in the appointment. See, when we are talking about tribunal appointments, we should also know about Tribunal Reforms Act 2021. Our central government has defended its action based on this controversial act, Tribunals Reforms Act 2021. See, earlier this act was an ordinance. The name of the ordinance is Tribunals Reforms, Rationalization and Conditions of Service Ordinance 2021. This ordinance was very controversial. Some of the provisions of this ordinance were struck down by the Supreme Court of India. For example, take cases like Madras Bar Association versus Union of India 2020, Madras Bar Association versus Union of India 2021. In these cases, the Supreme Court of India intervened and struck down the provisions of Tribunal Reforms Ordinance 2021. But our central government is very smart. It has included the same controversial struck down provisions in the Tribunal Reforms Act 2021. So the provisions which were struck down is now included in the Tribunal Reforms Act 2021. And the centre has been using this act to defend its action. This issue was also pointed out by Supreme Court of India. Making appointments based on this controversial act has got the anger of the Supreme Court. Our central government is facing the wrath of the Supreme Court. So these are the important points highlighted in this editorial. See, according to the author of this editorial, the centre is using the procedural glitches to make appointments in the tribunals. It is serving its political agenda. The centre wants its people in these tribunals. It is not following the protocols. It is also bypassing the orders of the Supreme Court of India. This has affected the transparency of the appointment process. It also affects the integrity of the office. So what can be done? See, according to Supreme Court of India, we should establish National Tribunals Commission. Only National Tribunals Commission can make the appointment process more objective and transparent. Very, very important point. You can use this point as value addition in your mains answer. In mains answer, in the solution part, you can include this point as value addition. National Tribunals Commission. Only National Tribunals Commission can make suitable appointments. It can evaluate the functioning of tribunals. It can make the process more transparent. So this is the way forward. According to Supreme Court of India, we should create National Tribunal Commission to make the process more objective and transparent. So these are the important points highlighted in this editorial. With this, we have come to the end of the discussion. In this discussion, we saw about the issues surrounding NCLAT. What was the issue? Not exhausting priority list, that is the cherry picking of names. Our next issue is asking the incumbents who still have tenure to go on leave. After discussing these issues, we also discussed about Tribunal Reforms Act 2021. We also discussed about Tribunal Reforms Ordinance 2021, why this act and ordinance were controversial. And finally, we discussed the way forward. What is the way forward? National Tribunals Commission. This is the way forward. This commission can make the appointment process transparent and objective. Now moving on to the next topic. Now look at this news article. This news article is regarding agreement on agriculture by WTO. See, recently our Union Ministry of Commerce and Industry expressed an opinion. This opinion was regarding WTO's agreement on agriculture. What was the opinion? According to a minister, the agreement on agriculture is riddled with deep imbalances. These imbalances favors the developed countries. It is disadvantageous to the developing countries. This is the opinion expressed by our Union Ministry of Commerce and Industry. As I already said, this opinion is on WTO's agreement on agriculture. So in this context, let us know about WTO. Very, very important topic from prelims perspective. First, what is WTO? World Trade Organization. This is the full form of WTO. See, WTO is a global international organization. It deals with rules of trade between nations. It is headquartered at Geneva, Switzerland. Now let us come to the most important point. See, WTO came into being in 1995. So this is the year of establishment of WTO. Before WTO, we had an organization called GATT. GATT stands for General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. GATT was established after Second World War. This GATT was the predecessor to WTO. Another important point. Now coming back to WTO. What is the main function of WTO? See, the main function of WTO is to ensure that trade flows are smooth, predictable and free. This is the main function of WTO. See, WTO has 160 members. These 160 members accounts for 95% of world trade. This is why this organization is very important. Almost 95% of world trade is under WTO monitoring. Now let us come to India. Since we are preparing for civil services, let us discuss India from the perspective of WTO. See, India has been a member of WTO since 1st January 1995. To put it in simple words, India has been a member of WTO since its origin. What about GATT? India was also a member of GATT since 8th July 1948. So we have been member of GATT, and after GATT, WTO was formed, and we have been the member of WTO from its origin. See, know this important point. If a government wants to join WTO, then that government has to bring its economic and trade policies in line with WTO rules. Only if they bring their economic policies and trade policies in line with WTO rules, then the government can become a member of WTO. Very, very important point. Now let us talk about the roles of WTO. See, WTO has many roles. It operates a global system of trade rules. It acts as a forum for negotiating trade agreements. It settles trade disputes between its members. It also supports the needs of the developing countries. So it plays many roles. Now aspirants may have a question. How WTO makes decision? So let us talk about WTO decision making. See, WTO is run by member governments. All the major decisions are made by the membership as a whole. These decisions are made either by the ministers or the ambassadors or delegates of the member countries. So all major decisions are made by the membership as a whole, and the decisions are normally taken by consensus. See, this is the uniqueness of WTO. It differs from World Bank and IMF in this way. In WTO, power is not delegated to a board of directors. It is not delegated to an organization head. As I already said, all the major decisions are made by the membership as a whole. This is the uniqueness of WTO. I hope aspirants can follow. Now let us discuss about the funding of WTO. See, the contributions by the member countries is a major source of income for WTO. It forms a major part of its annual budget. The contributions of the member countries are established according to a formula based on the share of international trade. So based on this formula, the member countries will contribute to WTO, and this contribution forms a major source of income for WTO. So these are the important points regarding World Trade Organization. Very, very important topic from prelims as well as mains perspective. In prelims, you can expect factual based questions. In mains, you can expect analysis based questions. So with this, we have come to the end of the discussion. In this discussion, we saw about WTO, the origin of WTO, the predecessor of WTO, India and its role in WTO. We also discussed about the many roles of WTO. We discussed about the decision-making body of WTO. And finally, we discussed the funding of WTO. With this, we have come to the end of the discussion. Now moving to the next part. Now look at this news article. This news article is regarding NCBS. See, NCBS stands for National Center for Biological Sciences. This center is located in Bengaluru. And recently, this organization is under multiple allegations. It is facing lot of allegations. See, these allegations are regarding data manipulation in their publications. Many experts believe that National Center for Biological Sciences have manipulated the data in their publications. This is why this organization is mentioned in the news. So, let us see about it. See, organization mentioned in the news is very important from prelims perspective. So let us learn about NCBS, the National Center for Biological Sciences. See, this organization was constituted in the year 1991, 30 years before. Now we have a question. What is the purpose of this organization? See, this organization conducts fundamental research in biology. It tries to understand the living systems. See, cell biology is fundamental to all biology. In order to fully understand living system, we should understand the working of cell. This is why this organization is very important. It tries to understand cell biology. It conducts a lot of fundamental research regarding cell biology. See, this organization takes ideas from other disciplines. For example, it takes ideas from physics. It takes ideas from computer science. It takes ideas from multiple disciplines and conducts research regarding cells. By doing this, it tries to understand the living systems. It tries to understand the functioning of cells. Understanding the functioning of cells is very important. By understanding the functioning of cells, we can develop better medicines. So this organization plays an important role in the field of regenerative medicines. The most important point. Now moving on to the next important point. See, NCBS not only conducts research in biology, it conducts fundamental research from diverse fields of biology. For example, biochemistry, biophysics, bioinformatics, neurobiology, cellular organization and signaling, genetics and development, theory and modeling of biological systems, ecology and evolution. So, NCBS conducts fundamental research from diverse fields of biology. This is why this organization is very important. See, in addition to the fundamental research, NCBS also engages in number of collaborative initiatives. For example, it engages with INSTEM, it engages with CCAMP to conduct a lot of collaborative initiatives. INSTEM stands for Institute for Stem Cell Science and Regenerative Medicine. CCAMP stands for Center for Cellular and Molecular Platforms. So all these three organizations come together and they conduct number of collaborative initiatives. See, these three institutions are very important. All these three institutions are located in Bangalore. They form an important part of Bangalore Bio Cluster. These organizations play an important role in fundamental research, translational studies and technology development. NCBS, INSTEM and CCAMP. Now coming back to NCBS. See, National Center for Biological Sciences is a premier research institute. The most important point, it is a part of TIFR. TIFR stands for Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. And NCBS is a part of TIFR. Now moving on to the next important point. See, NCBS is an autonomous body. Please make note of it. It is an autonomous body and it functions under the Department of Atomic Energy, Government of India. So these kind of statements can be expected in prelims. The National Center for Biological Sciences functions under the Department of Atomic Energy. Which of the given statements are correct? So make sure you remember this point. It functions under Department of Atomic Energy. So with this we have come to the end of the discussion. In this discussion we saw about NCBS, National Center for Biological Sciences. We discussed why NCBS is in the news. We discussed about the history of NCBS, the functions of NCBS, the significance of NCBS. We discussed about Bangalore Biocluster, NCBS, INSTEM, CCAMP, and finally we discussed what kind of body is NCBS. It is an autonomous body under the Department of Atomic Energy. Now moving on to the next topic. Now moving on to reference articles. Look at this article. This article is regarding POCSO Act. June 28, 2021 Daily News Analysis. This video has all the relevant information regarding POCSO Act. Interested aspirants can go through it. Now moving on to the next topic. Next topic is regarding GST Council. We discussed about GST Council in great detail in our 15th September 2021 Daily News Analysis, few days back. This discussion has all the relevant information regarding GST Council, its composition, its roles and function, all the relevant information. So interested aspirants can go through it. Next article is regarding SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, September 16, 2021. The daily news analysis on this date has all the relevant information regarding Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Interested candidates can go through it. Now moving on to practice prelims question. Now look at the first question. The National Judicial Appointment Commission was introduced to which of the following constitutional amendment? A. Constitution 65th Amendment Act 1990. B. Constitution 86th Amendment Act 2002. C. Constitution 99th Amendment Act 2014. D. Constitution 101 Amendment Act 2016. From our discussion, we know the answer is option C. 99th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2014 introduced NJAC, National Judicial Appointment Commission. Now moving on to the next question. See, this question is a past question. It was asked in the year 2016. In the context of which of the following do you sometimes find the terms amber box, blue box and green box in the news? A. WTO affairs. B. SAARC affairs. C. UNFCCC affairs. D. India-European Union negotiations on FTA. The correct answer is A. WTO affairs. See, in WTO terminology, subsidies are generally recognized as boxes. They are recognized as green boxes, amber boxes and blue boxes. All the necessary information regarding amber box, blue box, green box is displayed on the screen. Interested aspirants can go through it. The correct answer is A. WTO affairs. Now moving on to the next question. Consider the following statements. First statement. Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, TIFR, is a deemed university and works under the umbrella of the Department of Atomic Energy of the Government of India. Second statement. India's first digital computer, TIFRAC, was built in TIFR. Which of the above statements are correct? A. 1 only, B. 2 only, C. both 1 and 2, D. neither 1 nor 2. See, both the statements are correct. TIFR is autonomous institution and it comes under the umbrella of Department of Atomic Energy of Government of India. So first statement is correct. And moving on to the second statement. Have a look at this figure. This figure has TIFRAC, India's first digital computer. This digital computer was built by TIFR. So both the statements are correct. The answer is C, both 1 and 2. Mains practice questions are displayed on the screen. Interested aspirants can write the answer and post in the comment section below. If you like this video, click like. If you want to post a comment in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe to Shankar IAS Academy channel. Thank you.